Okay, today we got a 2017 Subaru Crosstrek all-wheel drive. The guy bought it used. He's had it for 3 years. They've got plenty of room in the back seat. As you can see, he's got a lot of stuff. But of course, it's a very limited trunk. But then again, so is this RAV4. Don't listen to the suggested retail price. If you're going to buy a RAV4 versus one of these, you're going to pay $10,000 to $15,000, $16,000 more for the RAV4. They sell a lot of these. They sell hundreds of thousands of these every year because a lot of it has to do with price point. Both all-wheel drive vehicles, they're almost the same color too, which is kind of bizarre. If you go into the hood, four-cylinder engines, though extremely different four-cylinder engines. These are boxers, 2 cylinders on this side, 2 cylinders on this side, where the Toyota's an inline 4. And the biggest difference is this has a CVT transmission, a continuously variable transmission. But 2018 RAV4, it's got a 6-speed conventional automatic, and the newer ones have an 8-speed conventional automatic. If you're going to buy a car wisely, think of what you're going to do with it, because the Subaru has a CVT transmission. They are pretty much useless for towing stuff. Planning on towing, you get the RAV4. This one's a 6-speed automatic. It has no problem towing. This thing will tow over 3,300 pounds. With no problems at all. If you're not going to tow anything, you're not going to care. We don't tow anything with our Toyota Matrix, so we don't care that it's only got a 1.8 liter engine, right? So if you're the type of person that you're never going to tow anything, if you don't mind the CVT transmission, you can be totally happy with the Subaru, with the exception of those who like crisp shifting transmission. You go for the Toyota hands down because it's an actual transmission. This one has 6 gears, new ones have 8. And also realize this, all RAV4s are not created equal. If you get a hybrid or a plug-in hybrid RAV4, they do not have conventional automatic transmissions. They too have CVT transmissions, but for a completely different reason than the Subaru. Their thing is, if you're going to have a hybrid motor, electric motor, and a gasoline motor, that's 2 inputs going into the transmission. And the only thing that really works to have 2 inputs, an automatic transmission, then an output to the wheels, is a CVT transmission. They could not put this 6-speed automatic in a hybrid system. There's no extra inputs. There's only one in the middle, mechanical engine. You couldn't add an electric motor in it without going to a CVT. Most people do opt out for an automatic transmission in the Toyota, and that's one reason when the year this was made, guess what? The RAV4 was the largest selling vehicle in the United States outside of trucks. It even outsold the Camry. Go back to the owner of this car, he's not a drag racer. He likes the smoothness of the CVT. He's not racing around. And this particular one, this is the last Subaru that they're making here that has regular fuel injectors. It's got port fuel injectors. Then they went to GDI fuel injection, gasoline direct injection, much more pressure, wears out faster, costs a fortune to fix when it's break. It's one of the reasons he likes buying this one used. It's got a simpler system. It's not going to have the problems that a more modern one has. It is a Subaru, and I'll explain one thing about Subarus that you really got to know if you're a cheapskate like me. These used to blow head gaskets, but that was decades ago. They fixed that. The problem with these are, instead of using gaskets, they use silicone glue sealer, and that's how they seal them from leaking oil. Now, silicone is perfectly fine for a certain period of time, but you get 150, 200 more mileage on the vehicle, these all turn into oil leakers. The silicone eventually dries up, cracks, and oil starts leaking. And because of this tight design, you really got to pull the engine out to replace those seals. That is a big deal. Toyota, it's got a conventional inline 4 where, yes, most of those have actual gaskets on them. If you do replace the Subaru, you can buy aftermarket gaskets, which is what I do if I own one. I'd rather have an engine that might go 300,000-400,000 miles and it's not leaking oil versus one when it gets to be 8, 10, 15 years, depending on how you drive, starts leaking oil and you got to pull the engine out. To me, I don't want to work on my own cars. I spend enough time fixing other people's cars, right? So I am not a fan of that particular design for a long life. Say you drive your car 100, 140,000 miles and you're happy, it probably won't leak and you'll probably be happy with it. But if you're cheapskate like me, you're going to start thinking, why did they use glue instead of gaskets? And of course the answer to that is, it's just cheaper to make them that way. These cars cost less. They cost less for a reason. Here's an interesting story. You can see this Crosstrek was totaled and it had a rebuild title, but he bought it from Aero Motor Sales, which is a company that buys wrecked cars a lot of times, fixes them and sells them. And the guy says, hey, did a phenomenal job. He's owned this thing for years. He doesn't have any problems with it, right? There are a lot of people these days that are doing things like that, especially since coronavirus rolled through, because they weren't building enough cars. There was a glut on the market. There was not enough used cars for sale or new cars. The prices went up, and of course, say necessity is the mother of invention. Well, they didn't have cars to sell, and these guys, they know what to fix. They're pros, right? So if they see a car that rolled over and everything was crushed or went through Hurricane Sandy, they'd know it's a disaster area. We're not buying that car. Well, guess what? When they fix them for themselves, it costs them a fraction of that. Then they make a profit selling the car, right? So it can be done if it's done correctly. And in this case, we're going to road test it to make sure. But he said he's had no problems with it. So even though it's got rebuilt title on it, the guy sure seemed to have done a good job on it. He had to change the O-ring. They always leak on that. He did that himself. But the ABS brakes, everything still works on it. He got 34 miles a gallon driving over here on the highway. Well, considering that it is all-wheel drive and it's conventional fuel injection, not GDI, there obviously isn't much wrong with this car to get that good gas mileage. It's a rebuilt title, so we're going to get my big computer out and we'll see if there's things he doesn't know about that he's soon going to find out about. Now we got the hotel hooked up. It's running already. We got everything here. We'll do a full scan. It's got a nice steering wheel, nice and small, black and chrome, my favorite. Nice armrest. Really nice, comfortable fabric seats. You can see they're Crosstrek seats. And he's got a lot of junk in the back, so you can see these hold a lot of stuff. They may call them compact crossovers, but there's a lot of space in these things. And what do we have? Everything's absolutely clean, except it has tire pressure monitoring system. What I'm assuming this is, we're going to erase it. We'll see what happens after we take a road test. Since it said it was abnormal, I'm assuming that the wiring is a little bit funky from the front end rack. Now when he's driving, the TPMS light doesn't come on. It only comes on when you check the pressure, so it's not really supposed to do that. It's probably off a little bit, no big deal. Mechanically, everything else is sound. So, fire it up, and yes, it has a key. A keyless ignition system, so you don't have to worry about this. It has an actual key. And here we go. We got more data you can shake 1,000 sticks at. So, the airflow sensor goes between absolutely perfect, 1.00, and 0.99. So, it's either perfect or off 1/100th. You can't really complain about that. All kinds of data on the variable valve timing. Air fuel correction, 0. They're usually doing something. This isn't doing anything because it's running perfectly. So I gotta say, the guys really fixed this well from the wreck. The only thing I can see is probably one of the wires for the stupid tire monitoring system is a bit off or something. Like I say, it doesn't come on for him when he's driving. As you can see, it's just a baby. It's only got 66,000 miles on it. Now, it's got a small backup camera, but I like it because it is a wide angle one. This isn't tight and you're wondering. You can see everything on this perfectly fine. Now, it's relatively high. It's not outrageously high. He does minor off-roading in it. It rides fine. You know, it's a relatively short wheelbase, so you're never going to get a super smooth ride. But it's got nice handling characteristics. Coming up to the corner here. All right, it looks like it's coming up now. Here we go. Decent acceleration. Okay, now realize one thing. This is a real CVT. It works the way it's supposed to work, and it's got good enough acceleration. It's just that so many people are used to automatic transmissions that shift that they don't like CVTs. And he mentioned that the rev limiter, you know, that kicks at about 4,000 RPMs, and he never revs it that high, so he doesn't care. He wants something that's gonna run and last a long time, and for him, a CVT transmission is perfectly fine. I don't hear bearings howling or anything, so they did a good job from the wreck. Because a lot of times you get these wreck cars, a year or two later, they start howling because the bearings were bent and hit. And that's not the case in this. The guys did a real good job at that body shop. He added these cool hubcaps, and he's got steel wheels. They came from him in Impreza. A lot of Subaru stuff is interchangeable because he wanted to get taller sidewalls for a better ride, and it works. And he does a little bit of off-roading. He likes chasing storms like my friend Hank. He hasn't gone as crazy as Hank, but he likes taking us out The all-wheel drive, he's not going to get stuck in the mud, goes to a field or something, he'll be able to make it through. Now, he just mentioned that other than the drive shaft, bare steel and stuff that's got corrosion on it, the rest of the vehicle doesn't have any corrosion at all. Subaru treats them pretty well. They're like Toyota. They know how to treat the metal so they don't rot away on them. You generally don't see rotting out Subarus anymore. Now, you used to decades ago. They rotted out like mad, but they've come a long way with their engineering. I gotta say, I always warned people in the past about Subarus decades ago. Head gaskets, both transmissions were garbage. This new CVT transmission is fine. They don't blow head gaskets anymore, but do realize you're going to keep them forever. You're going to get those stupid silicone seal gaskets are going to start leaking. You're going to have to spend money on that. That's really the only downside of these things, that if you're a real cheapskate and you drive them forever, you're going to be mad as a hornet when they start leaking. You got to pull the engine out to replace. But when you consider this RAV4 was over 15 grand more than that car, well, maybe you won't care that much about spending a little money putting gaskets on because you saved that kind of change. Acura MDX. Why waste your money on a Mercedes-Benz SUV when you get just about everything that's on them in a Japanese car that doesn't break down and costs about 1/3 of what the Mercedes costs? Now, if you watch my video on the Mercedes SUV, how the guy hated it and he paid $150,000, $60,000 for the thing and it kept recalling it and the mirror whistled. Well, the only similarity between this and a Mercedes is they're both built in the United States. Granted, the Mercedes, it was made in Alabama, didn't have such great quality control. This one's made by Honda Motor Company, they own Acura, and they are insanely built. Realize, Honda and Acura have built millions and millions of cars in Ohio and in other parts of the United States. They know what they're doing. I, of course, like the Japanese-made ones, but really, you know, the engine comes from Japan, the transmission, all that stuff. But what makes this an interesting car is, if you know anything about cars, for a while, people weren't buying these. They saw them as too old stodgy. They were buying a Lexus with all the fancy stuff. Nothing wrong with a Lexus, but they decided they're going to compete. And they've made a really interesting vehicle, as you're going to see. Now, with prices as insane as they are, the guy paid around $60,000 for the car. But what a car you get for $60,000. Now, this thing has the Honda Vectoring all-wheel drive system. You'll see when you drive it. It handles ice, snow, you name it. It's made for driving. Now, the first thing you'll notice is it's an SUV, but it's relatively low to the ground. They deliberately made it that way. So when you add an all-wheel drive system with a torque vectoring and the fact that it's lower, this thing handles infinitely better than, say, the Lexus SUVs. I've tried them both. This is much better. This is an actual 3-row car. The problem with some of the Lexuses, they got 3 rows and there's no room in the back. Their head's kind of stuck behind a pillar. This is completely different. Watch this. You don't even have to grab it with your hand. Check it out. It opens itself up to get to the 3rd row of seats. And as you can see, there's a reasonable amount of space in there. Plus, if you're one of those fanatics about moonroofs, which I think are kind of stupid, but people like them, you can have big moonroofs. So if you want to open it up and scream and yell at people in YouTube videos, feel free. I like it because it has actual chrome. Now, when we open it up, this is a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. This one's dirty now, but that's because they've got this down. Well, if you want to be clean, you just flip it upside down and then...
It's dirtier.
Yeah, it's dirtier on that side, but when you vacuum it all, it's all clean inside. You got them all kinds of space when you put them down. Oh. You got to move that seat up a little further to get down, but you get the idea. You can carry a lot of stuff on one of these. You move those seats down, you can bring a baby elephant if you want. Now, the one downside of this car is what's under the hood. It's luxury, so there's no prop rod, there's hydraulics. And it's an excellent engine, but it's got one problem. Now, it's a very reliable, very powerful engine, but at the same time, it's a pretty big vehicle, even though it's lowered. You don't buy one of these to get gas mileage, don't even think about it. His mother gets 17 miles a gallon. He got 13 driving over here in sport mode, so don't expect gas mileage on this thing. That's not what it's about. Oh, look, the faux carbon fiber. Well, what do people use carbon fiber for? Weighs less, right? Well, the weight reduction obviously didn't work out too well if he's getting 13 miles a gallon in that thing. And I gotta say, Honda's still living in the past. 2022. Look at it, it's still got a timing belt, a rubber timing belt. Man, I'm never gonna wise up and put timing chains on these things. I truthfully think Honda will not on their V6s, because like everybody else, they're all going into electric cars and hybrid electric cars. Take my son's year-old Toyota Sienna hybrid. It doesn't have the Toyota Sienna V6 engine. It's got the 4-cylinder engine with the hybrid. And they'll probably end up doing the same thing. They won't have a V6 hybrid. They would make a 4-cylinder. And the Honda 4-cylinder engines, they've had timing chains for ages in them too. They just, I guess, don't want to go through the R&D and change everything just for a belt versus a chain. And who knows, maybe they have this Asian idea that we'll make a lot of money changing the timing belts, or if they break, then the engines will go. And we'll sell them an expensive engine, or even better, we'll sell them another car. But be that as it may, they run fine. You just got to change it every 100,000 miles. And when you get the bill for that, you kind of wonder why they didn't put a chain in the first place. After all, it is a $60,000 car. Now, here's a really interesting thing. It has a 10-speed marvelous transmission that Honda makes. And they tout it as having all kinds of power and efficiency. But I gotta disagree on the efficiency. I mean, if he's getting 13 miles a gallon, his mother, very conservative, is getting 17. It's not all that efficient, because if you remember a couple of years ago, I was in one of those giant Ford Expeditions, and it had a 10-speed Ford transmission in it, the one that GM and Ford made together, and then they split apart like cats and dogs fighting, right? But I got like 27 miles a gallon in that thing, and that was a huge Expedition. So I gotta say, the power, yes. Gas mileage, no. Now, if you notice, it's got a classic nice smooth hood. They don't want to have any bumps sticking out. So check this out. The air intake is built on the bottom side, comes through here, and then goes into the engine this way. It's pretty interesting. You can see there is a tremendous amount of working room on this thing. But then again, it's a Honda. You may never have to work on the thing. But still, much to my happiness, the beauty cover is pretty small. You know, you get to see the engine. This I don't mind at all, because of course you got all kinds of stuff inside here for sucking the air in and filtering stuff, and I don't mind that at all. It's not covering up the nice part of the engine that you can see. Let's look inside. It's just like that Bronco. It's got all kinds of pictures and sounds. It's got the wireless charging pan. Oh look, we're like on fire jet here. Fire 1, fire 2. It also has a brake hold, which is pretty handy. Automatic start stop there. And yes, you can turn it off. I advise turning it off. If an engine keeps turning itself on and off, 90-something% of your wear occurs on startup, so you keep wearing your engine out. Not a good idea to use it. And hey, his mother doesn't turn it off. And it still only gets 17 miles a gallon with a conservative driver. So really, so much for the automatic start-stop. I think it's a bunch of crap. Hand-stitched leather, this, to me, is a much higher quality car than the Mercedes that costs 3 times as much. Look, it's got the 360. There's a matrix. You can get different views. I mean, this thing is really tricked out. And unlike the Mercedes, none of it's broken yet. Now we have air conditioning, heated seats, both sides. If you want to pay a little extra, you get the massaging seat. I find it kind of weird. I tried one when I was driving, and it really kind of distracts you from the road. So I don't advise buying that feature unless you want to park and use it. It's kind of weird while you're driving. And of course, you got all these dynamic modes. You put it in snow. It's in the snow, comfort, normal. And of course, he drives all the time in sport. Then you can customize it for yourself if you want. It's got lane control, automatic cruise control, watches in front of you. It's a pretty much technological marvel. But let's see how it goes. I wonder what this donut flying in the air is. That's the speedometer. It's got a heads-up panel too, so you don't have to look off the road to see how fast you're going. And watch, when you put it in reverse, look, the mirrors do. They tilt down so you see behind better. And if you, or perhaps your wife, has a tendency of hitting curbs, well, it's kind of hard to get a curb when you got a picture of the tire and you can see exactly where you're sitting. They have no one to blame but yourself for hitting the curb. Oh, I didn't see it. Let's see how this thing goes. It really goes. Makes a nice sound too. And this is a normally aspirated engine. This isn't a turbo. I can see why they think it's 13 miles a gallon though. Quite an impressive ride, I must say. Aside from the bad gas mileage, hey, it's everything anybody's gonna want in a vehicle like this. For what it is, if you don't mind the bad gas mileage, it's certainly an excellent vehicle. He bought it for his mother. She wanted something luxurious. And now, of course, she's spoiled. But then again, with the mileage they're driving, this thing might outlast her, or who knows. I mean, I've seen older ones with 250 on them, and they're still going okay. If you're looking for actual luxury that holds up, I would say goodbye to Mercedes-Benz. You could buy 3 of these for the price of 1 Mercedes, and then you definitely would never have to buy another car the rest of your life, because that would last for, who knows, 1,000,000 miles or more. A Mazda 6, 2014. It has 266,000 miles on it. Now, obviously, it's gone a long way. It's her father's car. She played a lot of soccer, drove her all over the place on the highway. This is mainly highway mileage. And understand, highway mileage is equivalent to maybe 10% city driving. If this Mazda 6 had 266,000 miles of stop-and-go city driving, 1, it wouldn't look like this. 2, it'd probably be on its 2nd engine and its 3rd transmission. But if you could find one that's got highway mileage on, now this is a 2014, so it's the early Skyactiv technology that Mazda had. As we go under the hood, we'll throw that over there so we can see what's actually going on. Skyactiv technology thing is a 4-cylinder engine. And it's actually a pretty good system. Doesn't burn oil, still gets decent gas mileage, gets about 28 miles a gallon on the highway, automatic transmission, everything works, AC. Now they did have to replace the backup camera, but they were smart. They went to a junkyard and got a used one and put it in, and it works fine. Now she wants me to check it out to see what kind of shape it's in. We're gonna put our big computer on, but as we sit in, you can see it's nicely set up, black and chrome, got a big old speedometer. You can see the 266,000 miles it's got on it. And it's got a little basic screen. As you can see, there's a lot of room back here. An awful lot of room. These are basically sports sedans. I know, a lot of people, oh, they all want SUVs. Well, she didn't want an SUV. These things are a lot more fun to drive. They still got a reasonable amount of room. So we look inside, and you can see, she's got a bunch of stuff in here. Hey, you can fit a lot of things in here. It's a big trunk. It's a handy car. And her father's a nice guy. He gave her the car. I got a lot of people. The parents sell the car. It's like, what kind of parents are you? Give your kid a car, you know? I gave both of my sons their first cars. Now, mind you, they destroyed both of them in wrecks. But they didn't buy them. I gave them to them. So how's it held up? Well, still got the original engine that doesn't burn oil. Still got the original transmission. Hey, it's actually been a really good car for them. We'll get inside. The old tools hooked up, and we'll see what kind of shape this baby's in. So we're doing an automatic scan, going through all these 21 different systems. You can see it's going through it pretty fast. Mazdas make pretty good zoom cars these days. And the even newer ones are even better because they got a bigger relationship going with Toyota. So they share a lot of Toyota technology. Green good except for one thing, and that is the Smart Start unit. Because of course, this doesn't have a key, it's got a start-stop button, which I can't stand, but that's how they make cars. Let's read what it says. Read the trouble code. Passive anti-theft transmitter. Now, a lot of times, these transmitters will get codes. If the battery's low, you can change the battery. Or, a lot of times, if the battery itself is low, gets replaced, it'll have that code. Nobody ever gets rid of it. So, we'll back up, and we'll erase the code. And now, we'll go to live data. We'll go to the PCM, and we'll look at live data. And we'll start her up again. And here we go. We'll start analyzing. This car's got 266,000 miles on it. 14 volts, that's fine. Now you can see it's doing pretty good. The equivalence ratio is 1.00, 1.002, 1.00 is perfect, so it's pretty close to perfect. Sometimes this technology even amazes me. Got 266,000 miles, and the thing is almost perfect. 1.001, that's almost perfect. 1.00 is perfect. The trim of long-term fuel, bank 1, sensor 2, it's 0. That's perfect. Now, it's a 4-cylinder engine, so it's only got one bank. And the long-term fuel trim means, how does it adjust? Does it add fuel or subtract fuel in the long term? This is 0.00. It's perfect. It doesn't have to do anything. A car with 266,000 miles on it. And it's not trimming the fuel at all because it's running perfectly. The misfire counts, they're 0 because it's running perfectly. Cam is barely worn. The timing is desiring 24, 23. Now it's changed because it changed at 18. It's almost exactly the same. The desired and the actual. And you know what that means? That means the cam has virtually no wear to it. I did one on a Hyundai Genesis, now they just call them Genesis. It had 100,000 miles on it, a lot less than this, 266, and it was off 8, 10, 12% on some of the cams. This one is almost exactly the same. So there's very little wear in the cam. Now it's got a tiny backup screen, but it's an older car. You can see good enough. Okay, it's still got a nice ride. Nobody's coming there, somebody's coming there. We gotta wait for them. And here we go. It still gets up and goes. Hey. You wouldn't think it was a 4-cylinder engine with 266,000 miles that doesn't burn oil, but it is. It still rides decent. And guess what? It's still got the original struts on the thing. Yeah, you get a little bit of a feel on the road, but it does have 266,000 miles, and it still handles perfectly fine. It's still a really fun car to drive around. It gets great gas mileage. It's not particularly making any bizarre noises. Now I can hear a slight hum of wheel bearings, but you're gonna get that in any car with 266,000 miles. They're not worn out yet or anything. I can hear them, but I have mechanics' ears too, so. Then the tires aren't wearing out strange or anything. It's phenomenal how many miles this thing has on it, and it still runs so good. Look at it, it's not shaking at all. This thing is smooth as the day it was made, only it has 266,000 miles on it now. I gotta say, I am impressed by this car. So, now you know all about this 2014 Mazda 6. And I gotta say, I'm definitely impressed. Just realize one thing, a lot of it was highway mileage. He took her to Stocker, all over the place. Proving that highway mileage is so much less wear than city mileage is this car. I mean, you could have blindfolded me that thing with how it rides and how it idles smooth and the gas mileage that it gets. You could have put me in and I'd think it was a car that had maybe 50,000 miles on it or something, not 266,000. That's why, if you can really get the true history of a car, and in this case, her father gave the car, so he had nothing to hide, right? A lot of people will lie and say, oh, it's all highway miles. Don't believe them, have a mechanic check it out. But if somebody brought me this car, I tell them to buy it because it's in excellent shape. Look at the equivalence. It was perfect. 1.000. I mean, that's insane for a car with this kind of mileage. Well made, doesn't burn oil. Now you know about these Mazda 6s. If you're thinking about getting one, maybe get a used one like this one, go ahead. Just make sure you get a guy like me to check it out. Machines like I have that don't lie. Do whatever you want to the paint, shine it up, but you can't hide the electronics from a mechanic. And the electronics tell the true story, and the true story of this is it's still in amazing shape. And she did admit she had to pry it out of her father's hands, so it was hard to get a hold of even from him. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.